Gervonta Tank Davis announces his upcoming fight this week. And also, at least that's what the word is. And to boot, talks about another set of fighters and how he's going to put them to sleep. Got a little criticism for Tank right about now. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. Gervonta Tank Davis has is supposed to be making an announcement very, very soon about the next fight that he has coming up. We have an idea who that may be, as the person that is assumed to be the opponent says that he has a big announcement, and that is hopefully Frank the Ghost Martin. However, Gervonta Davis does let Devin Haney's name out of his mouth in a tweet, and we're going to talk about both of them. Now, before I do, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon. And if you're a longtime subscriber and supporter, thank you for checking us out. And thank you to everybody that supports in the super thanks of videos like this. It really is a little $ with a right next to the comment that you can leave. So do that, or leave a comment, do something. And if you could leave a positive one, that would be nice. We get a lot of thumbs up, but the comment section is typically used for venting when you get mad at me for saying something that you don't like. But in this video, I think I'm going to say some things you like. First of all, it's looking more and more like Gervonta Davis is going to fight Frank Martin. Frank Martin is, I do believe, the number 3 or the number 4 guy in the WBA. He is one of the best lightweights in the world. And he is definitely, I think, the best available fighter for Gervonta Davis at this point in time at lightweight. Seeing as Shakur Stevenson is locked up in a contract over there at Top Rank, and Vasily Lomachenko and George Kambosos are fighting each other. Emmanuel Navarrete is fighting for some vacant belt, for the vacant belt at 100 for the WBO, and he hasn't even been at the weight class yet. You know, there's other guys that are available like Edwin De Los Santos and Raymond Moratala and Rayo Valenzuela. Some people were really upset about the prospects of Rayo Valenzuela, even though I most tell you I would take that fight in a minute. I ain't got a problem with it at all. But of everybody, Frank Martin would probably be the best. He checks off all the boxes for fights that people complain about for Gervonta Davis. People say he doesn't fight black fighters. Frank Martin is black. He doesn't fight slick fighters. Frank Martin is a slick fighter. Can fight coming forward, can fight going backwards, can do it all. He doesn't fight good fighters that are a challenge. That is an undefeated fighter in Frank Martin. Checks off all the boxes. He may not be Shakur Stevenson, but, you know, he's as good as anybody else. And I don't know how many people that I would take over Frank Martin in a fight at 135. I would take Frank Martin over Edwin De Los Santos. I would take Frank Martin over Raymond Moratala. I would take Frank Martin over Zepeda. I would take Frank Martin. I'd give Frank Martin. I think Frank Martin is every bit as good a fighter as O'Shaquie Foster is, who is the WBC 130-pound champion. And I think he's one of the most underrated fighters in boxing. Frank Martin, I think, is easily that level, a championship level fighter. So people really shouldn't be complaining about it, but you know what it is. People will complain about it because nothing that Gervonta Davis is going to do is going to be good enough for the people that don't like Gervonta. That's the way that I take it, at least what he does in the ring. Now, he also said something in a tweet clearly about Devin Haney, and when somebody attached him to a response to a video where they said, it was a tweet where said, do you remember when Devin Haney outclassed this person and he didn't touch him? And then some person tweeted it, retweeted that, and tagged Gervonta on it. and said, this is what Devin Haney will do to Gervonta. And Gervonta responded and said, he'll be looking like those kids in your picture, in your avatar, or on, and the picture of the guy was a young man laying down with his two children, presumably his two children, asleep in his arms. So he basically said, and I'll sleep Devin Haney, right? Now, what is that going to lead to? That's going to lead to, Gervonta Davis keeps Devin Haney's name in his mouth. He keeps Devin Haney's name in the mouth. He says that he would knock him out. So therefore, why doesn't he just send him the contract, make the fight? All of that. So people that are desperate for me to say something bad about or criticize Gervonta Davis, ting, here you go. I'll do it. I wish you wouldn't do that, because he's just encouraging and baiting these Devin Haney fans to lie on him and say, well, why doesn't he send him the contract? Well, why wouldn't he send the contract? Devin Haney has a fight on April 20th. Do you want him to send a contract and break up you think he can get out of that Ryan Garcia fight because of something he says on Twitter? Man, I talked to this guy on my live stream and trying to have not a serious debate, because, it's boxing. How really serious can a debate about boxing be? You know what I mean? But anyway, to the extent that a debate about boxing should be serious at all, he talks every other word he says is something about what Gervonta Davis tweeted or what Gervonta Davis said in an interview, right? As if what comes out of your mouth in an interview when somebody asks you a question is something that 9 times out of 10 is very, very well thought off, and intent and proof of your purpose to do something and proof of your availability to do something. People talk all the time, man. All right. People talk all the time. They say things all the time in real life. All kind of things leave people's mouths. Whenever something leaves somebody's mouth, it's up to you to see whether or not it's realistic or not based on the circumstances that you're living in. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I really want to go to Jamaica next month. I think I should go to Jamaica next month. Sir, you're broke. How are you going to go to Jamaica next month? And your daughter has a wedding, 2 weeks before that. And, there's COVID. So how are you going to do it? Oh, well, I guess once I think about it and all the things necessary to make it happen. Yeah, I wasn't really serious about going. That's what all of this internet yap about between these fighters is about. OK, and many of them do it. Many of them do it. But we try to sit up there and hold everybody like to task for every word that leaves their mouth in the 15 million tweets that go on every day. It's just to me, I think it's silly, man. OK, to me, I think it's silly. I wish Gervonta Davis, though, would not say anything about Devin Haney, though, and just not tweet about it. Not respond to people that tweet about it, not initiate tweets about it. Just don't feed into it at all, because it gives so much more energy to the people that bug me about it. I do not hold fighters responsible to any word that comes out of their mouth. Okay? I don't. I'm not holding Devin Haney responsible for every word that comes out of Devin Haney's mouth. On a tweet or in an interview or when he's I'm just not doing it. I know how boxing works. You have promoters, you have networks, and you have fighters. The only time a fight is going to get made is when all three of those things line up. The fighters have to want the fight, the networks have to want the fight, and the promoters have to want the fight. Period. If any one of those three things do not work, that fight more than likely is not going to take place. If the fighters want it, but the networks don't want it, and the promoters don't want it, that fight's not going to happen. If the fighters want it and the promoter wants it, but the network doesn't want it, that fight more than likely is not going to happen. The only combination I would say that really trumps it is if a fighter wants it and the network wants it, then most times the promoter wants it. Because the promoter needs to get paid by the network. So that a lot of times I think is the most powerful combination. When the network wants it and the fighters want it, they may be able to override the promoter. But if the promoter absolutely does not want it, and they have those fighters locked down into contracts, that fight's not going to happen. So all the tweeting back and forth and all of that stuff is only worth so much. So, but I do wish that Gervonta wouldn't have fed into it. That's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.